Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to be talking about what I look for in a cow, and hope this video helps you. All right, well, we just got done giving some new hay out to these girls this morning. Still pretty snowy day, so instead of them fighting through the snow and everything, just decided to go ahead and let them have another bale of hay. Yeah, the big part I don't want them to have to do is to push through this stuff that's getting pretty icy on top of it right now. And what I've learned is when they start pushing through it, they'll actually cut their noses on the snow, and you'll come out and there'll be blood in the field, and that's not a really fun experience, I would say. It's not something I'm really wanting them to do by any means. And down here, I did not do a good job unrolling the hay this morning. I got down to this core, and I didn't do a good job of, they pushed this hay bale underneath this fence right now. But let's talk about cows for a little bit. And I've got 16 cows in here. I'll take that back. I've got 17 cows in here. I've got one bull, and I've got 12 calves. Now, I'm gonna have to fix this before I go. I don't like the way that's looking. Hang on, guys. I'm gonna fix this. I'm gonna come back to you. There's a big old Cadillac enjoying his bale. I'm standing right here above his head, and he is not caring one little bit. And there's a little South Pole heifer right there next to him. And you can tell they're the ones that are not afraid of me being here. They have no problems, no qualms with people. All right, I'll be right back. Alright guys, sorry about that. Alright, let's talk about what I'm looking for in a cow. So this is my recommendations. Everybody's got to have their own recommendations for their own farm. But what I'm looking for and what I have to keep in mind are these guys. This is the main cash crop of the farm. And then you follow that chain up to the mamas. Mamas create these little dudes, and the bulls obviously, but we got to make sure every year that they are producing for us. If they are not producing, we can't afford to feed these guys all year round, have them on the farm, and not produce. I don't think any of us would hire someone to not do their job. So as tough as that sounds, this is realistic farming here. You can't just say, oh, they're so cute. You got to be able to make sure that they are being profitable in your farm. All right, so I'll talk about size of cows. So what I'm looking for is about 1,000-pound cow. A little bit above is okay. 1,100 I'll take. And obviously some of these girls are above 1,000 pounds. But what that really means is about a medium frame cow. The reason for that is I don't want to feed a 1,400-pound cow, which is going to need more grass, it's going to need more forage, it's going to need more hay, it's going to need a lot more acres to be able to feed that one huge cow to produce a huge calf. And it sounds great because a huge calf you can sell for more money, but the amount that you invest into that huge calf is it's above what you could get out of a medium-sized cow. The scenario I like to think about is if you have a 1,500-pound cow, that's huge. But that's what people are always shooting. You know, the bigger the better. The biggest we can get them, the better it is. But we want to shoot for that 1,000-pound cow because we can have, we can have 3 1,000-pound cows and feed them the exact same for 2 1,500-pound cows. And we get 3 calves out of those 3 cows instead of just 2 calves out of the 1,500-pound cows. Yeah, they'll sell for less, but overall we'll make more in the end. And that's what every farmer's need to do, maximize profits. All right, but let's talk about the cow as far as characteristics of the cow. This is number 97 right here in front of me. She's one of my favorite black Angus cows that we have out here. She did breed. She did produce a great looking calf. But on her, you can tell, I'm going to zoom in here, folks, but the udder is the most important part on the cow, because that calf is that's where it gets all of its nutrients, all of its milk. It grows off of that. And if that udder is too big, like a dairy cow, a huge udder on a beef cow, that's going to blow out. And at 6 to 8 years, your cow is pretty much done. It's not going to be able to, it will probably keep a cow alive, but it's not going to be at its peak efficiency. This old red cow right here, she is old. She did produce that little 102 calf that's right here too, right underneath her head. But she produced a good calf. She's part Jersey. She looks skinny, but she produced a pretty good calf. And you can tell she's a little bit skittish of the camera. That's okay. All right. So on the udder, folks, if you haven't bought this book, it's called Before You Have a Calf, or Before You Have a Cow is the name of the book. And it really breaks down udder size, teat size. You don't want the teats too long. You don't want them to be able to, what they call balloon out, the udders, and that will mess up with a cow being able to push for that milk. And those are the really important things on a cow. Now on a cow, and this sounds crazy, but you have to just start working cows and you kind of figure this out over time. But you want a feminine cow. You want a cow that has a long neck, like this cow right here is obviously our South Pole heifer, I should say. And she's bred back. She has not had a calf yet. And it'll be her first calf this coming March. But she's a beautiful looking little calf, she's a beautiful looking heifer. But she's got a long neck. She's got a big gut. She's got a lot of carrying capacity on her. And that's what you want those little calves to have. And they're a reflection of their mamas. And you want their back ends to be wide to make it easier for them to push that calf out. Those are just some really important pieces. Now, genetics, I know everybody's into different scores and how do you track this. Those are just the recommendations I can give you. Folks, I am not trying to be a rocket scientist out here and have all the data under the sun. But just common sense little things like that will help you pick out a good cow. I don't recommend you go to a sale barn and buy cows unless you are more experienced than anybody else that is out there. Let's go over here and look at these little calves for a second. Now, these little calves, sometimes you look at them and you're able to tell what is their mama doing for them. And you can tell the calves that the mamas are going to have afterwards and everything. 102 looks pretty good. She was our second calf that we had. So she's a little bit older, but she's a little bit smaller than some of these other Black Angus calves. And that's okay, but just something to keep in mind. Let's see, standing behind me. Number 103 is our biggest calf. And honestly, she is huge. But she came out of our biggest cow. And she was also bred to a huge black bull. So it's just, that's not really the genetics I'm looking for, actually. And that may be one that we sell whenever she gets to about a year to a 2-year-old. But there's this thing called a whorl in their head, in their face. And let me see if I can find one and zoom in on her face right here. Okay, what that whorl is it's like a cowlick. And you're supposed to be able to tell the temperament on that whorl in their head. If it's above their eyes, they're going to be a little bit of a crazy cow. If it's in the middle of their eyes, they're going to be, somewhat, cautious of you. But if it's below the middle of the eyes, it's a very, very docile, almost too docile of a cow. Ours are a little bit high, honestly, and these cows, we've had our ups and downs. We've gone through walls and the working pens and everything, but this is my recommendations to you. I'm sure a lot of other people have other recommendations. Look at the other udders, look at the teats, look at the size of the cow. Try to buy something young in age. I would recommend, if you're a first-time farmer, buying at least something that's had a calf or two. That way you don't have as many birthing issues. Example, these cows I bought, they've had at least two calves, except for this little red one right here. And I bought 2 yearlings. This is one of the yearlings. But buy something that's a little bit older. I have had only one cow that had calving problems, and it was a big Charolais cow, which I thought was absolutely beautiful, and she was. She was old, and I knew she was old. She was like 8 years old when I bought her. I thought I could get a replacement calf off of her. I was buying it at a good price. That turned out to be a big mistake. So if you guys can head off some of those mistakes, I'd recommend it anyway. This guy's having a fun time looking at me. But yeah, I hope that helps somebody, and I'm sure we'll do another video. But if you have any recommendations, make sure to leave those in the comments below. I appreciate everybody that's watching these videos, and we'll see you next time.